Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen.
With me today is abundance teacher and money coach, Jody Lynn Craven.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
Jody Lynn, our guest Renes today, has a book that is entitled I Still Love Teaching, and that title is just full of implication. Would you agree? I mean, you can just hear it in the title. You don't even have to know what the subtitle is, and when you hear the subtitle, it makes even more sense. But the title just kind of says it all. That's somebody expressing a love for something despite everything.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what we call a passion.
Yeah.
And we love passions around here. So we're going to learn more about the passions of Renes Lophanor, who is originally from Haiti and currently living in Southampton in the UK. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be on your show today. So thank you for that.
Well, we appreciate you being here as well. One of the things I think I'm going to learn is what it was that I should have loved more about school, because you love it certainly from the teacher's point of view. That's what your title implies. But before we go there, we have to find out, well, I imagine you went through school yourself, but how did you end up being a teacher? How did all that come about?
That wasn't the plan. That wasn't the original
plan. It almost never is.
My original plan was to become an architect or an engineer, and that's what I studied towards after high school. And so in high school, I took all the options to study to become an engineer. So just math, science, and so on, until I realized I was missing something, and that something was languages, which I always had a passion for since primary school. And those languages were in order: English, Spanish, later on German, but that wasn't by choice. It was yeah.
We'll learn it now.
I'm saying that, but it turned out to be a very positive thing that happened. One of the best positive things that happened in my school life. It was to have studied German before, and because my German teacher was one of those who inspired me to love the profession. And in my teaching, somehow I apply some of the techniques that she applied to my class when I was in secondary school. And I can tell you already what that was. That was to make sure everyone in the class contribute orally in the lesson at some point. It can be just you put your hand up just to answer one question, one easy question, but you must say something. You must contribute in the lesson at least once.
Otherwise, why? You can't just say do that. You have to explain why is it that's so important.
Oh, because I teach languages. So I teach French, Spanish, after German as well. And because to me, languages, the aim of learning a language is to speak it more than to write it. And one of the biggest fear to anyone who's learning a language is to speak it, because you're scared of pronouncing the words wrong. People are going to laugh at you, etc. So that approach that my teacher took brought the confidence in myself and all my classmates. So I take it as a way to build the confidence of my students, and if they feel confident in doing that, they will feel more confident doing other things in the writing or group work, and consequently in the other lessons as well, and in life in general. So that's why I said, learning German was one of the good things. And I said, it wasn't by choice. It's because I wanted to do Spanish as my second language in secondary school. But I had no choice. I had to do German because the classes that did Spanish were too full, and I was in a top set, as they call it. Top set had to do German, and the rest had to do Spanish. And so I'm very pleased that happened, because I got to learn Spanish later on at the university on my own initiative. Whereas if I had studied Spanish in secondary school, I honestly don't think that I would have wanted to learn German. And so, yeah.
Well, especially with all those verbs, but yeah, I get that. What was your native language? What did you grow up speaking?
My native language is Haitian Creole.
Haitian Creole, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then French second,
Sure.
English third, German fourth, Slovak.
Slovak. Oh, wow.
And Spanish is my sixth language.
So can you speak all of these fluently?
Fluently, Slovak, I can have good conversation.
Conversation,
right? Yeah.
But the others you can't handle fluently. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the more languages you know, the easier the others are to pick up. The latest one I embarked into was Arabic.
Wow.
Yeah. And the main reason was I wanted to know what is written in an Arabic text. For me, as a linguist, it's inconceivable to be able to see a text and I can't read it. There's no way for me to even guess what's written. So I decided to go on to take on a course, and within 5 weeks I could decipher the whole alphabet. To my biggest surprise, I thought that was going to take me a month, but no. And
you got it.
And yes. And after one term, I could read.
Wow.
It takes time. Like I'm doing but I read the words.
But you're doing it.
You learn music, because I was a music student. When you're a music student, you learn it one chord and note at a time, trying to figure out what all of those notes are telling you.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm someone who's very patient for anything that I'm passionate in.
I'm also curious, with all those languages you've learned, have you ever learned them initially through immersion? In other words, just by going into the culture and just living it?
Nope.
Never done that.
No. Wow. The only one, no, actually, no. No. I learned them all in school.
Wow.
And yes, that's a very good question. Yeah, totally in school.
Wow.
Like for Spanish, for example, I've never spent more than 5 consecutive days in a Spanish-speaking country.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you stay fluent? How do you stay fresh when you don't get the opportunity to use it that much?
My phone, my social media network, my computer is set in the language that I'm learning. So for many years, all of these were set in German.
Okay.
Wow.
And in Spanish.
Okay.
And I didn't set them in Arabic.
Well, my next question was maybe you get to go with it. I mean, it's kind of difficult to even interact if you don't have the characters right.
Yeah, that would have been too hard at this stage. Yeah.
So when are you going to learn Chinese? I'm just kind of curious.
Actually, it was the decision was to learn either Chinese or Arabic. I went for Arabic because 2 of my colleagues wanted to learn it as well, and I said, "Oh, let's go for it."
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, it would have been Chinese.
Wow. So does that mean Chinese is next on the agenda?
It is next for the same reason because there's no way for me to guess what's written
Yeah.
or what I hear, and I am curious when it comes to languages.
Well, you actually have to learn two of them because there's Mandarin and there's Cantonese, so there's two
It's
different variations.
yes, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna be a challenge for sure.
I would start with the main one.
Yeah, the Mandarin, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's for everybody who learns that probably starts. I would imagine that's the most common one, so why not?
Yeah, and right now I can't remember if it's Cantonese or Mandarin, which is the common one, the most common one. But
I think Mandarin is.
Mandarin.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't speak a word of it, so I'm probably the wrong person to say that. But nevertheless, I
can say shushu. Ni hao. No, ni hao ma. How are you?
He's got a head start on us already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you've probably seen the what's the name of that anime? Kung Fu Panda.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Shifu, that means master,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the characters is named like that. Shifu.
Okay. Okay.
And that's one of the way I keep remembering how to say it. It's thanks to Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda. Right, yeah, sure. Why not?
Wow.
Fantastic. So I also have to wonder. I mean, it's kind of an obvious thing, but I want to wonder anyway. How did you end up wanting to teach it rather than say working for MI6 or something? I mean, because there are lots of different ways you could use your language skills, but you chose to do teaching.
Yes. Good point. Good point. Well, I will say that I am, beside teaching, I am still doing other things like I'm a translator as well and interpreter, and I've done dubbing for TV stations like Channel 4 in the UK, and for the documentaries and stuff. And so I still manage to do that as well. But the teaching is my main profession, I would say. Now, why this one and not the others? It's because I love working with people. And to be more precise, I love working with children. There's something about children that keep you grounded. They are full of energy, and I'm an active person as well. And I love the openness, to the willingness to learn new things, where adults would be more reluctant because that's childish stuff. The children, no, they will do it, and I have that childish mindset as well when needed, like in the classroom, and that helps me connect well with my students. And even though I said I teach the whole range from 11 years old to 18, but even up to that age, 18, they still love the children approach, the songs, the jokes and the games. So I that's one of the things I enjoy.
I don't know about you. One of the things I found most enjoyable about working with kids, I helped to found an alternative school, so that was my experience. With kids, is that because they're young, they don't have a whole lot of emotional baggage built up yet. I mean, they will, give them time, but right now, so far, they haven't built up as much as an adult has.
Yeah.
So they're more amenable. They're more willing to learn something, try something new, think about something different.
Yeah,
and they'll challenge you a lot more easily too.
They will challenge you, and that's why I say they keep you grounded. They do. And if you approaching them as a boss, okay, I'm the teacher, you do this, you do that, that's where you're gonna get a clash and less willingness from them to go along with you. And for me, I take all my students as a human being first, before regarding them as a student. And from that point, They show me natural respect. I don't need to make them to tell them that I am the teacher. They know they know I am, and
Mhm.
and they know the boundaries. And but if they don't, anyway, one thing I always do is from the very first lesson, I set my boundaries
Sure.
with them. And I said, this is what I accept. This is what I want. This is how I want to work with you in the class. And one of the key things I mentioned is respect. I want to see respect in the classroom, but most importantly, I want to see you respect each other,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
rather than to me, because I know to me they will be respectful to me,
Sure. Yeah, that's just part of the
but
structure.
among each other. And I said I want everyone to feel secure, to feel comfortable, to ask questions. There was no stupid questions, and I want you all to make mistakes. And when I say that, they all look at me, sir. I said, yes, I want you to make a lot of mistakes in my lessons. And if you don't, I will make sure you do. And they start laughing and look at each other. Bewildered. What is that talking about? And then I said, why am I saying that? And then that gets them thinking until one say, because you want us to learn from our mistake. There you go. You said it, not me. And and then yeah, we go along. And I said, each mistake that you make in my lesson, that's one less mistake you will make in your exam, in your test, or in life in general.
Mhm.
More life, which
Make
is
them
very-
all here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's very true. Do you find that the connection that you get with the kids is one of the reasons that you're so inspired to stay passionate about this?
I'm going to answer with you. I'm going to answer you by showing you this.
Okay.
I see.
It's right on your book cover.
This is how important the connection is, to be able to enjoy teaching and to create a bond with the students. For me, I don't think we can teach any student if we don't establish, first of all, a relationship, a connection um, with them as a on a human level, so that they see you more as someone who wants good thing for them, and then they will be more willing to follow your guidance and learn from you. And I have an anecdote from a student. He was 13 years old in year nine. We call that year nine in England. I don't know what that corresponds to in Canada or in the US, but 13 years old. Yeah. And that kid was a real challenge for the whole school, swearing at everyone, head teacher, deputy head teacher, teachers, and really a boisterous one. But in my lesson, surprisingly, he was rather calm and well behaved. And one day he said to me, "Sir, I hate French." And without missing a bit, I said, "Oh, that's fine, Ryan. You can hate French. Since anyway, French loves you, that makes up for you hating it." And that made him smile and the rest of the class as well. And that diffused automatically what he intended, if he intended to have a confrontation with me. And that stopped there straight away. And one day, during some class work, I went over to him and said, "Ryan, there's something I don't understand. You always in trouble in school. You are on report. The report, that's a card that, yeah, the students have to carry along with them, and to give to each of the of the teachers, for them to write how the student has behaved in that lesson." And so I said to him, "You're on report again. you've always been in trouble, and yet I don't see you messing about in my lesson. Can you tell me why? Because I don't see that side of you. Um, he hesitated, and then finally he said, because you're not like them. I said,
Mm.
what do you mean I'm not like them? I'm a teacher, and so they are. I said, why are you not like them? Explain to me, Ryan, what you mean I'm not like them, right? Do you mean because I am active? He said, no, you talk to us. When you see us in the corridor, you come and say hello. You even come to the playground and chat with us, and sometimes even play uh, with us. And yeah, and until then, until he said that to me, I had no idea why he was
Mm.
um, behaving positively in my lessons or towards me in general. And that made me become conscious of the way I behave or interact with my students, and which to me was natural because that's my personality. But he made me be conscious of it, and that's why I'm talking about it today. It's it's because that had a very positive impact um, on me, and that I even mention it in book.
I
So
don't know about you, Jody Lynn, but this is the kind of guy I always wanted as my teacher. I didn't usually get this kind of teacher. But
No.
this is what I want. Is this what you wanted? I mean, did you
Yeah.
get this?
I mean, I had a few good teachers like that, but I think it was the exact same. They treated me like I was a human, not just, a kid, dumb kid.
Makes a difference.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I always wanted to teach the way I wanted to be taught.
Mm-hmm.
And that's constantly on my mind when I'm teaching, when I'm doing test exams. I visualize myself in the place of my student and say, okay, when I was there, what did I want from my teacher? How did I feel? And somehow I try to find a way to make them feel better than I felt when I was in the shoes. For example, doing a test, I would put some nice jazz background music.
Ooh, so it wasn't so scary. Yeah,
And that calms them down, and they
totally.
love it. They love it. The very first time they are surprised, where does that music come from? And then, but now they're all used to me putting
Yeah.
music.
Well, and it also feels like you're doing everything you can for them to have a positive outcome. Like you're really rooting for them,
Yeah.
which I don't know that not a lot of teachers like that. Teachers don't feel that, but they don't usually approach their students with that in mind. Like, I want you to win here in this class. I want you to do well. It might be their intention, but you can clearly see that that is your intention. And I think very few teachers approach their job that way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, that is what's the word? That is very important. They're very, very, very important to me. And I think if one day I can't provide that joy to my students in the classroom, that would mean I've done my job. I need now to move on and do something else. But until then, I will still love teaching and keep going, despite all the problem that we teachers encounter in the profession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you don't encounter any problems.
No,
That couldn't possibly
Yeah,
happen.
no, you're right. What am I talking about? Yeah, it's not
It's so easy. You get the whole summer off. Oh man, I'd love to hear more about this book and what's in it.
Oh, well, the book is divided into two sections. The first section, I call it teaching. So it's more about my approach to teaching, the method that I've used to teach over the 22 years of experience. So my teaching, my teaching methods or ethics or whatever you want to call it is to put the students' well-being first in the classroom, is to make my student enjoy coming to my lessons, even though they might hate coming to school altogether. But when they have French or Spanish with me, they want to be there. And so that's one of the key things that I want. And so that's in the first half of the book, which has got also some anecdotes, some of them funny, and but yeah, like the one I told you about Ryan as well is mentioned there. And the second section is called the education system. And now in this one, that's why I am attacking properly the education system, but globally with a focus of the system in the West, so in Europe and Canada and the United States mainly, but really I cover the whole world education system. And in that one, I point out the issues that I have encountered, and through lots of reading and documenting, and from the history of the last 22 years that I've been teaching. So I have witnessed it. I've witnessed the change as well over time. And then, but for each issue that I highlight, I offer at least one possible solution. Because to me, it's not only about saying, yeah, that's wrong, that's bad, that's bad. So what? What do we do about it? So, and one thing, for example, the exams. There are so many tests, so many exams that we make the students go through. Most of them are unnecessary. And yes, but really, sometimes I wish I could not do a test and spend that hour to teach the class something new or to reinforce something I had been teaching them, instead of testing them on what they learned only a couple of weeks ago, and they are doing a formal assessment on it already, and that really tend to kill the joy in the subject. So for someone like me who wants my student to enjoy being in the classroom, to enjoy learning my subject, it can be very frustrating. So one of my solutions is, for any assessment which is not a formal one, on occasion, I have offered my students the opportunity to do the test in pairs or in small group if they want to, rather than individually and get stressed. But I add a twist to it. I said, right, you can do the test on your own as normal, but you can also do it in groups or in pairs if you wish. Really? Isn't that cheating? No, it's not cheating. I am allowing you to do it. It's not cheating. But for each mistake you make, it will count for 2 points. And so in the end, what do you think? What option do you think they choose? On their own for 1 point, one mistake, 1 point, or in group, one mistake, 2 points?
I
If
think
they had
it
a lot
was
of opportunity, I know which way I say on that. But if this is new to them, I'm not sure which way they pick.
yeah.
Surprisingly, but not to me. They all went for the group work.
Okay. Well, in the long run, that's what I would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Even
didn't know if that would be their first choice out of the gate.
yeah, even two students who know that they are weak in the subject,
Mm-hmm.
they will still do it. Like pair,
It
they
makes
pair
sense.
with each other.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's the power of collaboration.
Mhm.
As human is a social being, and we love working with other people, and that's how we manage to be so creative. It's because we collaborate, we share our knowledge, and we learn from others, and build from on that to create something new. So when they all decide to work together, say fine, despite the fact they risk losing much more points, the
Well,
stake is higher, but they still prefer that.
it does
And
make sense. I mean, I mentioned that I founded an alternative school. I did that about 20 years ago, 22 years ago. And that school was a very radical approach. It had no official teachers, no official classes. Literally, the kids decided what they were going to do moment by moment throughout the day. They ran the school. They were in charge of the
give me
government.
the address. Give me the address. I need to go there.
A lot of people have said that to me, actually. Yeah, it was fun. And certainly one of the things that comes out of that experience is having the joy of watching kids teach each other. Because
Yes.
that's exactly what they will end up doing.
Yeah.
They will they'll feel their way together. They'll like figure stuff out together.
Yeah.
Right.
A child will fall asleep after 5 minutes listening to an adult talk, but listening to another child talk, they will sit there for 5 hours and listening to them.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that one of the approach that I use in my lesson is collaborative work, group work. As much
I can't remember what his name is. It's a guy who's an Indian educator, and his name escapes me. He has a YouTube video or two. He's given TED Talks and so forth. And he had an experiment that he started about, I'm going to say 15, 20 years ago. I'm not sure exactly when it was. But he went to a very, very poor inner city area in one of the large Indian cities. It may have been Mumbai. I'm not 100% sure of that. But it was a section of the city that did not speak English. It did not speak any of the major languages. It had its own local dialect, and it had no local school. It had really nothing for the kids to do. There was no social centers. Literally, the kids just spent their days on the street. It was that kind of a situation. And what he did is he went to a corner of that particular neighborhood. It was considered a really bad neighborhood. He set up a computer that was built into the wall. You know this one, right? Yeah. Built into the wall at kid level that a kid could interact with, hooked into the internet. The computer was in English. Nobody there knew English.
Yeah.
And then he just left it for a year.
Yeah.
And he comes back a year later.
I know, yes.
You know the story, yeah. He comes back a year later and finds that they've organized a school and they've all taught each other how to learn English. They've taught each other how to learn to use a computer, and they're running a school off the darn thing.
Yeah. It's the creativity that kids naturally have is amazing. We as adults, we tend to underestimate the ability of children. If we simply gave them more choice in
more trust
learning.
It's trusting their own
trust
and willingness to learn what they need to learn.
What they would achieve would be is
astonishing.
It's beyond.
It's fun to watch too, let me tell you, because we had a really small school. We started with like 9 kids, and I think it grew to maybe 25. And then for various reasons, the school fell apart. But during the time that it was operating, watching the kids learn that was like the highlight of my day.
Yeah.
Just watching to see what was going to happen.
And I used to love watching my children as well when they were little. I have 2 boys, and seeing them creating things out of Lego pieces, mixed with pens
Mhm.
and a glass
Mhm.
and whatever they could find, carton, and they would create something so amazing. It's and they don't get bored.
Yeah.
And the way they are doing it, it's as if they knew exactly what they were planning. Yet they are doing it, as they go along and say, okay, let's do that, let's do that. But it looks like a properly planned thing. It's
The school that I founded was based on a model created in Sudbury, Massachusetts, called the Sudbury model. And the original school, one of the things that happened in that school was some of the kids formed a club to play with plasticine, where they could make plasticine characters and plasticine buildings and plasticine cars, and like they made an entire plasticine city. I mean, filled to the brim with detail. It took them months and months building out this mammoth city.
But they did not get bored doing it.
They didn't. And then they had a war and destroyed the whole thing.
Yeah. That's what my son do as well. Spend the whole day building a whole city in the bedroom with all those Lego pieces, and the next day, everything. And
urban renewal was born.
I mean, creation, destruction is part of creation.
Yes.
So it's like you need a balance in everything. You do. No, it's great. I got a lot of inspiration watching my children play and grow, and which then helped me in my teaching other people's children.
I love your appreciation of play. I don't think most. Well, I want to be careful about that. I think there are many teachers who don't appreciate play as much as they could.
Yeah. And I think play, or the spirit of play, is the direct connection between adult and children. I don't know from what point we say that, playing, that's for kids. From what age? I don't know, but that happens at some point when as we grow, and in order to delegate that to children's activity only. And
do we really? I mean, even as adults, we play with things. We consider it.
Yes. We play. Yeah, we do play with things. So that shows that it is still
there.
But the children's game, as adults, we still love them secretly. Like when I take my children to children's center, where you have lots of bubbles, and they jumping in there. I jump in there with them. I don't care what everyone's saying. Oh, that's an adult. No, that's a nice thing to do. I'm having fun. You're behaving. I'm an adult. I can't do that. Fine, good for you. And build lovely memories with them, and feel and enjoy that moment of joy with them. And as Christmas is approaching, what we often do on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, we sit in the living room and play the videos of movies that we've made since they were little boys. Now they are in the early 20s. Okay. And we have about 50 movies that we've made, and properly script and everything. And watching and reminiscing the good times.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
You're reminding me that one of the best lessons that kids have to teach us is the importance of living in the moment. Because they do it better than anybody.
Yes. Better than everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
And even more so the capacity that we have as individuals to live in the unknown and figure it out. Like kids can just figure it out, and they're not even afraid. Like you're watching them, oh God, I don't know what the next step is in building out this city. They're not like having a meltdown. They're like, okay, cool, next step, and on to the like next thing. And as an adult, we have such a hard time with the unknown and what's next and not having it all planned out. And I think that's a lot of conditioning.
Yeah.
But it's such a beautiful message to watch children do that and just figure it out. No big deal.
And that's one of the chapter in the book called the fear of, and one of them is of the passage is fear of failure. The children, they are scared of failing. They are not scared of the exam as such. They are scared of failing the exam. And why are they scared of failing? Because of the pressure that they have from society, from the teachers, from their parents. Like, if you fail that means you are worthless. That means you're not worthy to be my child. Yeah, because you are that grade that you get. And today, that's great. We're having this today because today I had an assessment with one of my classes, and at the end of the assessment, I called out everyone's name for them to give me their score. So aloud, and so 23, merci. So 54, thank you. So can I show you my sheet, sir? No, you tell me the score like everyone else. 24. Okay, thank you, merci. Are you dead?
No, you did.
That kid was kind of sad. Are you dead? I asked. No. There you go. That is only a score. Okay, that's not you. That doesn't define you. I know who you are, and trust me, that score that you have is not going to change who I know that you are. You are the great student that I have in this class. So you didn't do well in this one. That's just, in this one, that's just a test. Okay, so don't forget that. And I move on swiftly without staying too long on that child and by the time I finished listening to everyone else, she was fine. And at the end of the lesson, I went to her again and say, so remember what I said? That's only a score, okay? And in another test, you will do a better. You will achieve a better score or a lower one, but it's only a number that shows how well you have done in this particular exercise at that moment. Okay, but I know that if I ask you, how do you say so and so in French? How do you say it? And she said it. There you go. You see, if that was in the test, you would have got it best. So don't worry. She smiled and she left. Yeah. And so that was my way of canceling that fear of shame for having a low score within the class. So from now on, she won't be worried to tell me her score again. And I want everyone to like I said, I want everyone to feel comfortable no matter what in my class, to feel themselves. If you have 0, okay, fine, 0. So that means there's something you didn't get at all in there. So I will be helping you, but it doesn't change who you are. And they know that, and I make sure that they do. And there is no animosity between them towards me. So
Jody, among other things, you're a financial advisor, but you're also a life coach. And when you're coaching somebody, you're working with somebody trying to help them to basically retrain, to reframe, to re-record on their nervous system experiences that have traumatized them in some way, so that they can get past whatever that thing is, whatever the block or resistance point is, and move forward with what is it they're hiring you to coach them on. How much easier would your job be if you had their teachers teaching them the way that Renes is teaching his kids?
Oh man, I think our world would be a very different place. Think about, it's interesting because I was reminiscing just for a second on math, because I'm awful at math. even though I'm a financial advisor. I'm really good at calculators and spreadsheets. But I never had a very good, I shouldn't say that. They were good math teachers for other people, but not for me. And it was one of the things that really stuck with me throughout my life, is that score meant I wasn't good at it, that I can't do it, that I am less than.
Yeah.
And just like the way that you're approaching these numbers, like it doesn't change who I know you to be. Like you have a heart and a soul, and you may not say that exactly, but you're saying that this doesn't represent you, or there's nothing to be ashamed of. This is just a moment in time, and it's a score, and we move on from there. And there's so much trauma that we as adults carry around from these scores that we've been given or been told, or like, you don't sit still, or you can't shut up, like all of these things. And you've kind of spun things on their head. And I think it's really amazing. I think that I wouldn't have as much of a job to do, probably not any job to do really, when it comes to that, because dealing with money, that's primarily what I coach on. They're just numbers. They're just numbers. And that is primarily what I teach, is to separate or to disconnect from that. Oh, that number means whatever about me. And you're doing it live with these kids. I love that.
Thank you.
It makes a difference, because when we have influencers in our lives who take the time to connect and appreciate who we are, because that's really what you're doing here. You're connecting to them and appreciating them for who they are. Then when we deal with the bumps that come along in life, because they come along to everybody, and sometimes they're deep valleys, but nevertheless, they come along in a variety of different shapes. When they come along, because of the connections we've got, we can handle them better.
We can,
Right? It's when we don't have the experience of having that level of connection to our teachers, to our parents, to our peers, to our friends, to our work associates. When we don't have that level of connection, that's when things fall through the cracks. So that's really what you're teaching them. You're teaching them to not only trust in themselves, but also to trust in their connections with others.
Yes, and I really want them to take more than just the language I'm teaching them. I want them to take what I'm teaching them into the life, the real life, as well. And that's another thing again that I am criticizing in the whole education system, is that most of everything that's being taught to the kids are nowadays irrelevant to real life. And things that are necessary are not being taught, like finance, for example. Josie, finance. Do they know what a credit card is, what a debit card is, a loan? No, not at all. So I decided to teach my one of my class, the class of which I am the what they call the tutor. I don't know if it's different to the US, but there's a group of children that I see every day, and they are part of my tutor group. So, and I spend the first 40 minutes with them every day. That's how it happens in England. And I teach them. I've been teaching them about finance, the difference between a debit card, a credit card, what a loan is, interest rate, mortgage, and how people invest, what the stock market is, all those things that they hear words of but have no idea, and yet they will be facing it as soon as they enter the world of the active world, as they say. And I told them the danger of abusing a credit card, because it's not money that you physically have, and that's why a lot of people have got into debt and thinking that, oh, that's fine, I can buy this Ferrari now and I'm paying $100 a month. That's fine. No, it's not fine. And so all these things that I wish I was taught, I am teaching them. And they are very grateful and very receptive as well. because they realize, some of them realize they know more than their parents about those things that I'm teaching them. And myself, I did not know that much about it until, well, I knew the basic, but last April, I decided to attend, to take on a finance course. So that's what I'm still doing. So as I'm learning, I'm teaching them. And the same for the world of cryptocurrency, etc. Yeah. So,
you actually touched on something else I want to touch on. And we don't have a lot of time left, but I do want to spend a little time on this because I do think it's important. My belief, and I think it's pretty well backed by factual evidence, is that each succeeding generation is more intelligent than the previous one. And not just more intelligent, but more knowledgeable, more connected, if you will, to the accumulation of knowledge that has occurred in the years leading up to when they were born. And that there's a continuation of not just knowledge and understanding, but information flow that goes on in ways we have not. Science has barely begun to tap into how this works. They have some ideas about it now. I mean, we're now familiar with quantum entanglement. We have some familiarity with what they call it. I'm drawing a blank, but there's a field of epigenetics.
Okay.
There are a number of areas where we're beginning to reach out and recognize that a lot of information gets transmitted from people to other people, from animals to other animals, and so forth, in ways that we can't explain through direct communication.
So yes, that is true. I believe that too. Mm-hmm.
Have you observed that in your classes?
Class. Well, one of the tricks, I call it tricks, but that I use is when a student is about to ask me a question, for example, and I suspect I know what they're going to ask. I know that. Said, no, we're not going to do that now. And then I move on. You don't know what I was going to say, sir. No, I know, don't worry. And then and I move on. And then at some point, when I reach the topic that that student was going to tackle or to ask about, and I said, so and so. I said, he knew what I was going to ask. I told you.
I love that.
So that's one way, you can communicate with each other. It's I forgot the term, non-verbal communication.
Mm-hmm.
So watch the body movement,
body language.
Yeah. And then you can infer what's happening, etc. And and it's it's also very easy for me to now, and that's also thanks to watching my kids. Also very easy to make my student feel, or let's say to diffuse tears from my students. If there's a situation, something I say, for example, a student that has been misbehaving for too much, and I said, okay, you have a negative point or something, and as I'm doing it, and I see that kid is worried because for that student, a negative point means probably detention, parents going to be informed, and I say it, and so, and as that student is crying, I am not going to say, oh, right, okay, then fine. I don't do that, because as much as I am very, very kind to them, I am also very firm with my boundaries, with the rules, etc. And that's why we get on so well, because they know I mean what I say.
Mhm.
And because I know they know that I mean what I say, then I can afford to be lenient with them. So I would wait till the end of the lesson when everyone leaves. If I set a detention to that child, I stick by it, and the child goes. And when they turn up on the day of the detention on time, oh, and sometimes I might even forget that they had that
Yeah.
detention. They will come. Oh, you've come. Okay, good. Um, now I can tick you off. Okay, to say you've attended. You've attended, and we would have a small chat if need be, and then go and enjoy your lunchtime. Merci, Mr. Lophanor, and off they go. And I know for a fact that the following lesson they are going to behave well. And so far, that's what I have witnessed as well. And when a student does something positive, let's say a student, for example, that usually misbehave or not necessarily to do with behavior, it can be with classwork or anything. I give the parents a call randomly. Hi, it's Mr. Lophanor from school. Oh, what did he do again? Or what did he do again? Oh,
Yeah.
no, don't worry. I'm calling to let you know that he or she had been amazing today. Did this. Oh, really? And and that's the positive phone call, because the parents usually, when they receive phone call from
Oh,
the school,
sure. Yeah.
it's negative.
Yeah.
So turn that over, and the next day when that kid sees me in the sir, you called home?
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. My mom was surprised and she thought I was in trouble, etc. etc. And that kid becomes an angel in my
Oh,
classroom
sure. Yeah.
just because of that phone call that was unexpected. And yeah.
Mhm.
The book is called "I Still Love Teaching," despite having all of the reasons in the world to quit. And I think it's
Yes.
pretty apparent to both of us, Jody Lynn, that Renes has definitely decided not to quit. In fact, as far away from quitting as we can get. I can't imagine him quitting anytime soon. We're so appreciative of you, Renes, but there are a couple things we need to do before we're done here. First of all, do you have a way for people who are interested in learning more about you and interacting with you, asking questions and so forth, for them to reach?
Yes. Sure. They can either go on my website, reneslophanor.com. So that's my first name and surname, full.com, or on my socials. That can be LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook as Renes Lophanor author. And they can contact me there, either by email as well, which they can find on the website. And I'll be more than happy to answer anyone's question and or chat with anyone who wants to have a chat on the subject of the topic or collaborate on anything. So just contact me and let me know.
Sounds beautiful. I love it. Second thing I want to do is I want to convey to you something that I've been conveying to guests for quite some time now, because I realized it was something that was missing. Now, in your field, you interact directly with the kids every day, so you have a lot of direct feedback that tells you how you're impacting kids' lives,
Yes,
which
a
is huge.
lot.
Yeah, it's really huge.
Yes, a lot of positive feedback. That, if I may, that's the dedication for the book.
Uh-huh.
This book is dedicated to my students, past, present, and future. You guys are the real stars, always eager to learn and discover new things. This book is also for any student out there looking for a bit of happiness in school life. And of course, to my amazing family, blah, blah. But it's primarily to my students, all those I have taught, that I'm teaching now, and that I will be teaching in the future.
Well,
It's you are the reason why I still love teaching.
and it's evident. I mean, just talking to you, just seeing it on your face, it's so evident that that's exactly what's driving you. But what I did notice a few years ago is that while we get direct feedback from the people that we do have interactions with, especially now in the 21st century where we have all these different ways of communicating. You come onto a podcast, you tell your story on your podcast, you do it on other podcasts. I'm sure you're finding different ways that you're sharing stories and information and insights and so forth with people you've never met, never seen, never will see. And there's a ripple effect that comes off of that.
Yes.
That we never see either.
We never see.
And that's the part that I realized was missing because we don't recognize.
You're right. Yeah.
So on behalf of those people you've never met, never seen, never will meet, never will see, who you've been impacting in ways you don't even know about, on their behalf, thank you for what you're doing, Renes, because you're making a difference.
My pleasure, Walt. The first podcast interview I've done just before publishing the book 3 months ago was with one of my ex-students who is a podcast host. that was really pleasant, and it felt great to be his, to have him as my first host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's really, really good. Then the final thing we like to do every time is I like to ask my co-host to kind of summarize the whole thing that we've talked about today. Because especially with Jody Lynn, but they're all really good at just tying it all together, putting the bow on top, getting that A grade, but nevertheless tying it together in a way that just really pulls it all together. And so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how Jody Lynn's going to tie this one together. Jody Lynn, you've been thinking about this, I know. What do you got for us today?
Oh man, I just keep thinking how different my life would have been with a teacher like you. And I think of all of the children that you teach, and in the past, in the present, in the future, and all of the teachers who will hear your message and look at their job differently, approach children as the human, the heart, the soul, see the best in them. And I think about that alone and the ripple effect and how dramatically it will change not only these kids' lives when they have somebody believe in them and see them for all the goodness that they truly are, and, promote that and build that confidence in them, and how much that will ripple out into the rest of the universe. So thank you for that and your contribution.
My pleasure. Thank you to both of you as well for having me today.
I think we actually found a way to stop him from talking. He's just like, he's.
Good. That was, you warned us. That was great.
We loved it.
Thank you, Josie.
So thank you guys very much. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.